Okay, I'm not really sure how to start this rant. So in the beginning, I'll give you a history, so there won't be anything to really see on your screen for a bit, but bear with me. Okay, this rant has to start back in 1917. Long time ago, the first part of this thing I'm going to talk about was a 2-minute clip of a samurai trying to test a new sword on a target, only to suffer defeat. Quite a while, in 1933, the first talkie of this genre was entitled Chika Te Arano no Yo no Naka. You probably know what I'm talking about now, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. In the 1970s, the manga was released, or manga, and the first one that was brought overseas from Japan was Astro Boy, which was aired in Japan from 1963 to 1966, and the American one was not translated until 1980s. You know, of course, I'm talking about anime, Japan animation, whatever you want to call it. It's anime one way or the other. Back then, I didn't really like anime. I mean, back in the 80s, when Astro Boy was first revealed to an American, Canadian, North American population, it wasn't really that good. And I didn't watch it. The intro turned me off in the first place, and the rest of it wasn't that amazing either. Yet, that all changed in 1995. I went over to my friend's house after school, and he liked anime. I didn't like anime, but he always watched the show. So I ended up watching the show, and I loved it. Sailor Moon. Translated to English August 28th, 1995 in Canada. Then released again in the USA 2 weeks later. It was recorded in Toronto. Well, the dubbed part was recorded in Toronto. And since I live in Canada, I was one of the first people to get it. Now, out of everything that Sailor Moon had to offer, the story was good, the characters were not redundant like all the other animation I've seen. Like, they weren't the same as anyone else. They all had their own different personalities and whatnot. But the one thing I don't like about Canada is 3 simple letters. D-I-C. DIC. DIC was the animation studio and the dubbed studio that translated Sailor Moon to American, well, English. And after that happened, it all went downhill from that. I mean, I liked the Sailor Moon when I watched it on noon on YTV, and then on other channels when other channels got whiff of it. But then when I saw the Japanese one, it totally differed, and it was much better than the English one. Now I said back then I hated anime, and if you zoom out, there's no possible way you could tell. Although the camera doesn't want to zoom out. So I'll just show you. I have that. I also have that. That. That I had my mother paint for me. That and that. I also have that, and there's a lot more stuff upstairs. Now, this is just a brief review of what I'm going to talk about, which will be Sailor Moon. But, just so you know, this is just a brief review of how anime started and if it will get translated into, of what happened as it went, its rise and downfall, and the other animation. I might get into this at one point. So I'll see you at part 2, where I'll explain the first thing that pissed me off between the two different animations.